Welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find the latest album reviews, you can find our band interviews, and you can find live video of the bands that we get when we go to concerts. The next one coming up is ABR, and super stoked to get video of that one. So be on the lookout for that when it comes out. Going to the Philly date, so if you are or near the Philly area and you are going to that, let me know. Come say what's up. Would be more than willing to say what's up to you guys, and can't wait for this Messengers tour. It's literally the first date and it's sold out, so I am going and saying it's going to be amazing, and I can't wait to just listen to all of the classic ABR tracks. But anyway, if you enjoy what I do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoy what I do, of course. This is a part two of two parts, obviously. I did an album review. The ones on the bottom are 20 through 11. And then I also did honorable mentions. That's in another video, so if you want to check that out, definitely feel free to. But we're going to get right into it. So the first, or number 10 on this list is Silent Planet's Everything Was Sound. I think this is just one of their best records to date. And I'm super pumped that they're actually doing a headliner. For some reason, every time I see them, except for Warped Tour, this year, I've missed out on them. I don't know why, but Garrett's literally one of the nicest dudes ever. And they just put out a killer record, so I really feel like you guys should give it a listen, pick it up. I think they really have hit every sort of metalcore like note. Like if there was like a checklist for things to do in a metalcore album, they really just have nailed all of them. And I think Garrett just overall has become a better screamer, and that is all thanks to Ryan Kirby of Fit for a King. I know they were like teaching, or he was teaching him how he screams and stuff like that, and obviously he has improved tremendously on this record. There's just so much more depth to his scream, and just overall sonically is just an amazing record. It has some really nice like ambient, like silence breaking stuff, and then there's also some like really heavy parts. They've had Norma Jean, the vocalist for Norma Jean, was featured on a track. Spencer Chamberlain of Under Oath was featured on a track. So there are some cool features on this track, on this album at least, and I think it's definitely one to pick up. It's one of my favorites. I still have to get a vinyl. I did pick the CD up, but I want to pick the vinyl up. I just been slacking on it, but I definitely will be picking that in the foreseeable future, probably around Christmas. Obviously, I will have some more money for that, so I will be definitely picking up that vinyl for this album and just adding it to the collection. It's super really good heavy record, and I'm stoked to see them on their headliner with Hail the Sun and Dayseeker and Ghost Key. It's gonna be crazy, so that one's gonna be amazing. The next band that I have on this list is Emarosa, and it's their newest album, 131. They already had Bradley, but Bradley, this is his second album with the band, and I really think he stepped up to the plate on this record. There are so many catchy tracks on this record. One Car Garage, Cloud 9, Helpless. There's definitely another one that I'm missing. Hey Young Lonely is a really good, or Young Lonely. That one's another really great track. It just, to me, sonically, they have really stepped it up. They really went in that sort of rock direction, but I would say more like alternative indie kind of rock. But nonetheless, they do a really great job, and this one's definitely worthy to be on the list. It's number 9. And just Bradley has improved as a vocalist. I think he's really shown some true emotions on this record. I felt like that was lacking on Verses. I think he did a really great job on Verses, however, but I think he just took this album to another level. And once you see them play live, it really kind of instills that sort of motif that he's known for having now. So Emarosa 131, if you have not checked that one out, go give it a listen. It's well worth the time and the effort. The next one that I have on my list, number 8, is Too Close Two Touches, new record. I haven't been myself. I think this one just came right out of the gate. I really liked the singles that they had released, but the last track on this record, Ellie, is so heartbreaking, and just it just hits you right in the feels and stuff like that. I think certainly they have found, a great audience and a great sound that to kind of carry on, for the next albums and stuff like that. Especially if they continue doing what they have done on this past record. This is going to be amazing, and I can't wait to see what's next. Crooked Smiles, a great track. Frick, there's so many really good tracks on Ellie's, like I said. Um, what else? Uh, there's definitely another one that I can't think of, but there is a lot of great tracks on this record, and well worth it to be in the eighth slot of this albums of the year. Um, the next one I have on my list, of course, Dance Gavin Dance, Mothership. This was the second album that they had Tillian on. However, I feel like Tillian has just again stepped up to the plate very much in the same vein as Bradley from Emarosa. I really think that they really took this to another level. I think sonically they haven't really changed too much. However, they always do an immense job, so I was expecting nonetheless from them. But I think really Tillian has found his place in this band, and just they have been able to write around him and just make him the best vocalist that they could possibly be for this band. And I really think they hit a home run with this album. It's definitely worth picking up, giving it a listen. Definitely one of my favorites of the year, like I just mentioned. But just sonically, they have improved, but also vocally through John Mess and Tillian. I think they just did an awesome job, and I like the match that they have together, where they play off of each other. I really think that Tillian has found his home essentially, and just they know that Tillian's going to be in here for the long haul, so they have really put a lot of time into this record, and it shows that they are more mature together as a band and just better friends and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that one. The next one I have on my list is Erra's Drift record. This was the first record with JT on it. I think they did an awesome job with this album. I actually didn't even realize that it came out this year. But JT, I think when I was talking to him at the time, he said that he was sick. So a lot of the times he wasn't able to fully, I guess, be in this album. However, I still think this album came out really great. I think, scream wise, he has done a really good job, and just sonically, they've really mixed him very well into a lot of these tracks. I'm excited for a new release to be announced soon. But they really did a killer job on Drift. Um, I guess Jesse has done an amazing job vocally as well too. I think that's a really good point to mention as well. And then just guitar wise, they have kind of found that nice balance between like really technical or more technical sort of stuff, and then that sort of like ambient sort of I guess full sounding tracks. They really just found that nice mix between light and heavy, and it really shows on this record, and that's why I would put it in my sixth slot of the record, or not records, album of the year. And sorry if I keep looking over here. I have kind of my list up and going. So the next one I have on my list here, which will be pulled up in a minute, is Animate, Stillworld. Just saw them pretty recently on the Overdose tour, and they always do an awesome job. I think this record narrowly beats out Erra's record, for me at least, because they kind of remind me as if North Lane continued on in the discovery direction, and obviously just continued going down that sonic path. And I think Invent Animate is really carrying the torch in that regard, for that kind of genty sort of ambient sort of stuff that North Lane's very known for. But I think that they kind of created their own path and have this sort of uniqueness to their albums, where it's you could have a really heavy riff and have some nice like clean sort of guitar parts to kind of overlay on some of the riffage. And then Ben does an awesome job on both clean vocals and screams, but I think his real strong point is that screaming. I think he does an amazing job, and Stillworld is definitely in my top 5 for this year. It just kind of blew me away, and it just gets heavier and more progressive as the album goes on, and it doesn't feel like it stales to me. A lot of these sort of albums, like I'll be like, oh well, I like this track and I like this track, and then there'll just be a staleness to it. For me, this album just carries on and has different approaches, and even if maybe a song kind of sounds similar, there's the way that they approach it is a little bit different. So I think that that kind of balances, again, that sort of technicality and the lightness. I think that they really have done an amazing job with that, as does Erra as well. But I feel like Animate just took it to another level. So my fourth pick for album of the year is actually Fit for King's Deathgrip. As you can tell, I love this band so much. I've seen them since the very beginning, when they were doing Descendant, all the way to now, and I think they have just evolved over each album, and each album just progresses just a little bit. But I really feel like they have done an amazing job on this record, more or less than their previous work. They've just really found that real heaviness, this real brutalness to their sound, and just expounded upon it. This one just has this sort of darkness and angriness to it, but it still has this, nice balance to it and stuff like that. And I think Bob, from Fit for a King, does an amazing job on the guitar work. He finds that cool balance between, again, sort of technical parts, but as well as some more, I guess, heavy breakdown sort of parts that just get you moving. So I just saw them on the Aggressive tour, and I know they just announced a tour with After the Burial in the Mirror, and I hope to be going to that one. But this album is killer. I love this record. There's not much more I can say about it. I love the features. Jake Lurs is one of my favorite vocalists, and it was cool to have Jake and Ryan on the same track. I know they did a tour together. It was like the Frozen Flame tour, and it was cool to see that. So it was awesome that they actually got a track together, and Levi Ben does an amazing job on Stacking Bodies as well. I think he really just killed it on that track as well. So I'm excited for a new Miss May I record. But getting back to Fit for a King, I really think that they just hit the nail on the head in terms of heaviness, and they just took it and ran, and that's obviously why it's in the top 5 for me, just record wise. They just nailed it, in my opinion. So my third pick is actually, in her own words, unfamiliar. You may be, no pun intended, unfamiliar with this band, but they're a great, great pop punk band. And I did a review on it, and for some reason at the time I wasn't really sold on it, so I gave it some more listens after I did the review, and this album has slowly become one of my favorite records of this year. It just got this cool, like, again, it's got this really good pop punk vibe to it, and then it's got some really, like, parts that you would get from maybe like post-hardcore, or you get from hardcore. Just some of the parts in the track have that sort of feel to it. I would say it's more punk than pop punk, but really enjoy this record. I think vocally they do an amazing job. He has this kind of like screamish sort of singing, very similar to Parker Canyon from Story So Far. I wouldn't say very similar, but similar in that style. But another great album from these guys. I haven't heard of them before this point, but now they have found a long time fan for life. I think this band has something special to them, and that's obviously why it's number 3 on this list. So now we're getting into the real juiciness of this album, albums of the year, and my second pick is Issues Headspace. This album had been on repeat for probably even months after they released it. There was just no other band that kind of came close in terms of how much I listened to this record. I still listen to this record till now, and it still blows me away. And Tyler Carter is still one of my favorite vocalists of all time. He just has this sort of range that, like, no one really can match, and just his runs and stuff like that. And then on top of that, instrumentally, it's brilliant. AJ is, some of his riff writing is some of my favorites of this year. Some being Flojo, that one's one of my favorite tracks. Rank Rider's a really great one. Slow Me Down's another really good one. And just a bunch of tracks on that album is just brilliant. Coma, that's another great one. But they just really incorporated R&B, jazz, soul music, and just metalcore, and they just mashed that shit together. And I really think they did an amazing job just blending genres together. And that's probably why it's so catchy to me, is that Tyler Carter is just a great vocalist, as I mentioned earlier. Michael does an amazing job as well. I think his screams are just really great, especially in tracks like Blue Wall and Slow Me Down. I think he does an amazing job of that. But to me, this one is definitely up there in terms of albums of the year. Obviously, it's number two. And of course, drumroll please, number one on this list may come of no surprise to any of you if you've been watching our channel for a long time, but it's Artifex Pereo's Passengers. I cannot talk enough about this record. It's literally one of my favorite records of this year, and I even mentioned that in my album review. But this album just slays. I've been listening to this on repeat since I saw them back in September. They just do an amazing job, and this record obviously shows that. Just technically, it's brilliant. Music style wise, they transfer over different things, and it just blows my mind how good this record is. And I can just wind up re-listening to it months and months and months and months after they've released it now. And I think it's even better of a predecessor to Time and Place, which I really love that album as well. I would say that's one of my favorites of 2015. Or not 2015, 2014, I think maybe. Not really entirely sure, but this album is just crazy to me. And if you have not listened to these guys, I highly recommend that you go give them a listen. It's well worth your time. If you enjoy bands like I the Mighty, I'm trying to think who else you would enjoy. Definitely I the Mighty. Picturesque has a little bit of picturesque vibes. It also reminds me a lot in terms of, I wouldn't say in terms of vocal style, but it has something akin to Tyler Carter in terms of runs and stuff like that. But this is a monsters record. If you have not checked out Passengers, again, I highly recommend that you check it out. Again, let me know in the comments section what your albums of the year are. I would certainly like to know. Obviously, these are mine, and I don't know if they will ever change. These, I think I would definitely say the top five are really, or the top 4 or 5 are really tight. And even the top 10 are really tight, just in terms of albums that I like listening to on repeat. I would definitely say that all of those in that top 10 are the ones that I listen to fairly frequently, if not almost every day. So, again, thank you guys for checking out my album reviews of this year. I probably will have a few more videos to be coming out by the end of the year. But again, thank you guys so much for supporting me. If you enjoyed this album review, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and also make sure to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy. And we hope you got your fix. My name is Brandon, and I'll be talking to you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com, and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.